This is a video I promised to make for a friend of mine that got his final mastership level for his Usui Reiki back March 19th, and had messaged me on that night. So the chart that I'll show will be for March 20th. But very, very excited, and I was proud because he shares a lot of childhood trauma similar to mine, and we've had strange things happen in our lives that I've noticed the parallels, and I've been working the last few years with him on teaching him astrology, and we discussed dream interpretation, other alternative things. He's an herbalist now. He's of course, a Reiki master. He does reflexology. He's an herbalist and vegetarian, which I can never be, I don't think. But anyway, took his path very, very seriously, and has gone completely rebellious against his childhood raisings, and it's been a really hard path. So I try to be the ear that can listen to people and prod them along if that's what they want, and give them information if they're willing to accept it. And so I'm really, really proud of him. We're just platonic friends, always have been. I just feel the need to mention that because when a male and female talk too much, there's rumors. But he was a jerk when I first met him anyway. So I'm very proud of the growth, and we've laughed about how much he's changed, and I'm very proud of him. So here's his video of his chart. This is his birth chart. I'm just going to keep the video to it. It will show more also in his other chart, his progressed chart comparing to it, his solar return, and all of that. But the main activators for this growth, we had a total lunar eclipse March 14th, which was 5 days previous at 23 degrees 58 minutes, when chaos stationed direct at 148 Cancer. And the connection here, this total lunar eclipse made a karmic inconjunct to his Chiron, which is the wounded healer. And Eris, discord and strife for positive changes, was on his Chiron. Now, that connects to his midheaven, which is his highest goals in life and the start of his career house. He has Kaali, the awakening goddess, who can also, a goddess of destruction and awakening. Ninth house spiritual path here, just on the inside of it. Uranus was on his midheaven almost exactly, but opposite his third house, which is his childhood and childhood learning. We have opposite his mental, which sits on his IC, which is the roots and childhood and deep inner emotions. The IC is our emotional foundation. And so he has mental there, and there's been a lot of I hate to call them mental issues because, when you have traumatic childhood and things through life, we react in different ways. And the highest of mental is, if you think of The Mentalist, the TV show, the psychic, very powerful. His grandmother had told his dad he was very special. He could see things that others didn't, and was very sensitive. We'll get to that in a moment. But so it's connecting here to the mental. He has spirit in his fourth house that the eclipse connected to, and Asteria, which is related to magic, and I'll look that one up just so you can see. It's Titan goddess of the stars, starry one, astrology, prophecy, magic, oracles at night, dream interpretation, magic practitioners, witches whom read stars, starseed, mother of Hekate, who is the goddess that roams between the three worlds, witchcraft, herbal knowledge, which she's an herbalist, and the moon. Now, he's ruled by the moon, and he's a Cancer, Sun, and Mercury, but there's more to it than just that. But let me finish this train of thought. Anyone that watches my videos knows that I have a tendency to lose my train of thought. So his Uranus was activated. Now, Uranus is chaos and the unexpected. It's also the key to our higher self and our own creative genius. His is in Libra, like most of my generation, and third house, and that's community. That's our childhood and communication, the way we think, early childhood learning, community. So Medea is wisdom, was connecting to all of this with his spirit in the middle, and Saturn makes you do the work. It can be very restrictive. It can make you cry. But Saturn is a teacher, a professional. He is you do the work, you get it done. It rules Capricorn, which is moon is in Capricorn. And moon is, of course, our intuition. Fifth house is our fifth house of creativity, as well as our children. And he has all daughters and granddaughter, which is hilarious. Anyway, so Saturn is the professional, the teacher, the one that's put in the work, the expert. Said Eris was on his Chiron, the wounded healer. Let's see. So that, and Aurelia here in his 12th house, which is the subconscious. Aurelia is prophetic and intuition as well. So lots was activated by this March 14th eclipse. He didn't just become a Reiki master overnight. This has been a couple of years, few years in the making. And he has his finger in many pies, as well as a regular job and everything else, and a family life. So, these things take time. When I first pulled this chart up, oh my gosh, I told him what year that was. 19 maybe, 2019, maybe 21. 21, it's about 4 years ago. When I first pulled it up, first thing I noticed was that his sun in Cancer sits on fixed star Sirius. Now, that is also what the United States sun sits on. He was born 4th of July, and so the U.S. Sibley chart is 4th of July. But Sirius is our spiritual sun. It's our second sun. It's show you the Google search anyone can do. Sirius is seen as a gateway to higher consciousness, known as the spiritual sun. It offers more than just light. It's a source of spiritual insight. It's known as the dog star. The Dogon, an Aboriginal tribe in Australia, knew of Sirius long before our astronomers did. And it can serve as a beacon, prompting us to reconnect with our spiritual essence and seek meaning beyond the physical realm. So, a very important point. Anything we have in our charts connecting to it can bring strange things. I actually know several people with their son born. I've always had cancers around me, and their son is close to Sirius, and very, very special people. But anyway, I was already going to make this just a simple video showing Usui and his names and things in the charts. And then I just kept adding more in and more in because I don't know when to stop. But if we start looking at fixed stars and all of the points in the midpoints and everything, it really shows up. Galactic center is right here, and the great attractor here, and then we have the supergalactic center is here, sorry. And then we have the galactic center is here at 26, where serendip is, which is synchronicities, and his tool, which is a master. I'll look up tool real quick. Looky there. His tool sits on high-level civilization, secrets from ancient, highly intelligent beings, masters, ancients, magic, mystical rituals. So, his sun sits on our spiritual sun, and his tool sits with his serendip on the galactic center, which is the center of our Milky Way, center of our galaxy. Pretty cool, because also his first name sits here. His first name ending in Joy asteroid sits here on this black hole. All right, so don't get me distracted though. Where were we talking about? We were talking about his sun. Now, his sun is very close to his Saturn in Cancer. Opposite his moon, he was born on a full moon, close to his vertex, Destiny's Gateway. His sun connects to his Usui in second house, which is ruled by Venus. Venus is our spiritual career. And he has Medea, which is wisdom, right there with it. Now, wisdom itself is here at 844. Little distant, but connects to other things. Then we have, there was a solar eclipse, October 2nd, 2024. Not sure where he was on his path there for Usui in October, but it hit it. And then opposite was one March 29th, just ahead this year, a solar partial eclipse, which is important because he's a Leo rising ruled by the sun. And then he's Cancer sun and Mercury and Saturn ruled by the moon. Okay, following me here? All right, so his Usui and his Medea wisdom, his moon, his sun, his Neptune still within range, his transiting destiny is making a karmic inconjunct almost exactly to his sun here. And this is the sixth house, the Virgo house, healing services we do for others. And making a trine to his Usui, a positive trine, which is usually benefits brought in from others. McCowan, I gotta look this one up. He had a brother, Podaliris, which is here, which is related to his foot reflexology that he does. But McCowan is another magical one, an asteroid of healing abilities. And then if I jump up, there's Podaliris, the brother of him, skilled in medical arts, god of internal diseases, invisible wounds to the soul, which he's told me stories of working with Buddhist temples as part of his path too for this. Medicine, medical treatment, internal dis-ease, which disease is, if you go along the metaphysical lines where, when we're sick, we're ill, it is a dis-ease of our body, and it is generally related to our emotions and our thoughts. So, lots of connections just to there. Now, here's his Venus in the 10th house, which, that's the career house, Gemini, teaching, communicating. Gemini also works with the nerves and the nervous system, which Chi would also be included in that. And Gemini, the Gemini house is the third house, which is where his Reiki and his Merlin are conjunct in Scorpio, which is transformative and also using the healing arts, generally considered taboo. On a lower end, a third house in Scorpio like this with Uranus is a lot of unexpected things and can be pretty tragic being ruled by Pluto, but we'll get back to that maybe if I don't skip around too much. So Jupiter, which rules beliefs and philosophies and higher learning, other cultures, and rules the 9th house, which is our spiritual path house, and path of higher learning, which is in Taurus for him. So it's ruled by Venus, just like his second house is ruled by Venus, where Usui is. All right, so Jupiter had just crossed over as Venus and is actually had just crossed over Gianna. I think I've inspired him by doing these things and trying to help out, because this is, this is how I healed myself, is with astrology, and I've showed him some things in his chart that, I'm like, hey, this is who you are. Um, Even if you're different, don't, try not to be afraid. But so anyway, so Jupiter's there, ruling this ninth house, and his Sagittarius house here. And of course, this house is co-ruled by the moon. So the Sun and Neptune were at critical 29 degrees Pisces, the very last degree of Pisces and the zodiac wheel. That happens to be where my dad's sun is, and it's really funny that his rising is very close to my dad's also. It's in the third decan of Leo, which is more developed. And we have to remember that Leo is naturally big-hearted and is generous and all. Most of his Leo's in the 12th house. And that's things that we keep private. It's things that we hide from ourselves and don't want to admit to others. So anyway, being a guy, having a soft heart in this world is frowned upon. It's terrible. So anyway, so where are we going to go next? What I was pointing out was that the Sun and Neptune were conjunct at 29 degrees. This is making a karmic inconjunct to his Leo ascendant at 28. Now you see his nickname ending in S and his last name are both at 0 degrees. This one's a little closer to 1, but so very close to his ascendant in his first house of self. Virgo is a healing house, a healer. Virgo has a tendency to be overly critical of themselves and may project it out onto others, but ultimately, we call it nitpicky, but discerning, knowing that this is for me and this is not for me, I got that Virgo moon. So anyway, this is what I want, this is what I don't want, and being brave enough to say this is for me and this is not for me is also hard in this world. So anyway, Atlantis here is related to magic as well. And Neptune and the Sun were opposite his Atlantis. That's actually where my Atlantis is. This is my dad's Sun degree. And connecting to his first name, his real first name, his proper first name, ending in joy, at 0 degrees here. Now his first name ending in joy sits here on, like I said, the supergalactic center, and then his proper nickname, he goes by his middle name. So his nickname ending in S is actually a nickname of his proper nickname. Anyway, so his first name ending in joy, which I see as him finally finding happiness and contentment in his life, as his adult version of himself, using his first name, is actually conjunct Genki. And it's as I've openly worked through my childhood wounds and used astrology, and then, we have the similar traumatic childhood experiences and different things that have happened in our life that paralleled, so it gave us a basis of something to talk about, and I offer information saying, hey, have you looked at this? Have you thought about this? These connect in a karmic inconjunct to where chaos stationed direct at that eclipse. So most importantly, not me in this manner, but to him finally reaching a point of mastery of himself. Now, no one's perfect, and we're not supposed to be. We're here to make mistakes, but and, as we grow. But very proud. So is also connecting to Usui, and Usui at 2 degrees here, making a positive trine to his chaos. Chaos being chaos on the lower end and cosmic creativity on the higher, making a positive trine to Usui. Usui bringing something in. Now he has Baptist right here. This is his early childhood house, and his dad was a Baptist preacher. And, so our early childhood learning is one certain thing. Now, he was always the rebellious one. There's, his Lilith right here is in Aquarius. Conjunct Pallas is third eye. But, so that's making a square naturally to his Baptist in his early childhood. And his Pluto here is where we transform. It's our personal power. It's also where our power is taken from us. This is the house of self-worth and values, personal beliefs and values, and it's where he came to transform through others and to help others in Libra. Second house is a very, I just had the word in my head, compulsive house, where we act out in our life and things happen. We can get very stuck in it. But it's ruled by Venus, and, it's part of our spiritual path, because Venus is our ultimately spiritual career. Now, his Pluto is connected to his Delphi, which is an oracle in mythology, and it connects to his proper nickname, which he goes by in his everyday world, and in his home and family, they all call him by that name. And then Transit Delphi was connecting to his Pluto at the time. His first name ending in joy was making a positive trine to his Pluto, transforming his self-worth and his beliefs and values, and his assets, his natural assets, because our assets are not just our material items, they are the things that we inherit. And he has a strong background in his family of psychic ability and healing abilities that have either been completely ignored or enhanced upon. And I have many friends like that where it skips a generation. So where the child, which would be the parent, was so against what their parent were, they went the other direction completely and tried to ignore and avoid it. Anyway, that's that stubborn resistance that we can put on ourselves instead of just allowing things to flow. So his Pluto is making a positive trine to his Pallas third eye, and his Lilith, which is also related to magic and to the creative force, psychic ability, Kundalini, which is the two snakes unwinding from the root chakra to the crown chakra, and enlightenment happening, hypnotism, intuition, transmutation of distorted image to a healthy expression. Like I said, he was a jerk for a very long time, and he's finding his way to create a healthy expression of that and to help others to grow as well. And highly complex. Some of the best of us are highly complex. So it kind of gives you an idea there. He has Magion in his 8th house, Aries self, with Eris, discord and strife nearby. And of course, he has that wounded self, Chiron, here in the 9th house, beliefs and philosophies. He was raised Baptist. And just naturally, intuitively felt life was something different, and explored the world and read and learned new things beyond what his teaching was, which is what ninth house is. It's that search for truth and meaning and finding higher education beyond what we were taught in childhood. So let's see. Talent had crossed over his talent in the sixth house, that healing house. Aquarius is thinking outside of the box. It's related to the Reiki and astrology and dream interpretation, all of the various alternative healing abilities, ruled by Uranus, which of course is opposite as Chiron. It's how he came in to heal his wounds, because Uranus is your higher self, constantly pushing you, and wherever Uranus is traveling, it had been going through his ninth house, and it shakes you up to wake you up and put you on the path you're supposed to be on. It's just entering into his 10th house career. And so talent had just crossed over his talent. Now his talent is connecting to his karma in that ninth house again. Growth, spiritual growth, higher learning, other cultures. Chiron and mental were exactly together at 2137 and 2141, so they were connecting. I don't have an exact 21 in here that I see, but it could be connecting to a midpoint or to an asteroid I don't have in here yet, or a particular fixed star. So, but it's still right here on his ninth house cusp. So anything on a cusp is very powerful, just as it is. So we have Chiron, the wounded healer, and Mental, the mentalist, coming into here, right here on the cusp of his spiritual path. Connecting to Magion here, connecting to his South Node past. Now 10th house is the parents, and Gemini, early childhood learning, communications, thinking, and opposite is North Node path, which is in this home and family and deep inner private emotions. Sagittarius is that same as the ninth house, search for truth and meaning. Oh, excuse me. All right, so did those. Now his Pluto here also connects to. It's funny, his nickname has my current last name conjunct it, and with Podaliris here, and that's the foot reflexology, and if you think about podiatrists and the healing. And I have actually been studying reflexology also, because he had referred me to some books and such for that. But we have to kind of encourage and help ourselves, and this is why it's so important to let your light shine, even if it's weird. Because while a lot of people turn their nose up at you, which is the downside of Podaliris too, is that the snobbery, that the people that are on the fringes and know that they're different and seek something different than what we were taught is true, they can find you, and we can bounce ideas off of each other and teach each other what we know. So Mercury is connecting here. Mercury and Venus had gone retrograde. Now Mercury rules his 10th house career house and his early childhood learning. And Venus, of course, rules his Pluto and his Usui, being in Libra, and his second house, self-worth, values, his special asset gifts of being a healer. And they had just gone retrograde not too long ago at about 10 degrees, connecting to that and eclipse. Both of them. There was two eclipses. There was an eclipse at 10. There it is. The new moon, which starts something new, solar eclipse at 10 degrees, October 2nd. There we go. So they went retrograde opposite that, and Mercury had just crossed over this solar partial eclipse point here for March 29th. So anyway, and this is Aries. And Aries is the self, and that's also the first house here where his nickname and last name are. And you kind of following what I'm putting down here. Okay. So Jupiter rules, his Jupiter is in Pisces. It's a co-ruler of Pisces along with Neptune. And we'd already said that Jupiter was here. It had crossed his 10th house Venus, his career, his higher spiritual career purpose. And he has Juno conjunct Jupiter. The Juno-Jupiter would be soul contracts, committed relationships, especially being in the 7th house. And Jupiter, the higher learning and all that rules his spiritual house here. So in Pisces, that is where, things are illusions and delusions, and nothing is really as it seems. And that's something that I discuss with them a lot too, because the situation I'm going through is with a person very much that just hasn't hit that point yet of growing, but I can chart it all and I can see it all. So you still keep hoping people that they'll hit that point that they can grow. But we all have our own timelines, and it is based on our placements and the eclipses and how things have progressed in our charts and everything else. But it's always on time for us. So one thing that I see, it should raise a little more compassion in the world, especially when the religious like to say in all in God's timing. Well, that's exactly what this is. But we as humans with our big fat egos want everything to happen right now when we want it. And we push and pull. And anyway, I digress as usual. So let's see. Is there anything really, really cool? So is Juno and Jupiter here at 17, almost 18 degrees. They do connect to my Gagnero, which is basic me. I've known this family for 16 years now since I moved to this town, and we're neighbors and became even closer neighbors when we bought this house a couple of doors down. But that's also third house stuff. They connect to my Gagnero and also to my spirit. It's just one of those things. I saw the connections, I saw the pain, and so I just reached out and offered some alternative ways to look at life to him, and it just developed into a friendship. His Mars is in the 12th house, conjunct Polynesia. Polynesia is a Lemurian. There are many that I can put in that are also very special, like the Sirius and the black holes. And Mars is how we move through life. And this 12th house is kind of hidden. It's the house of anguish. It can be of mental anguish, and we might keep it to ourselves. But it's other things we might keep to ourselves. It's also related to the subconscious, and this is opposite as Pallas, which is the third eye. And and the Aquarius being different, making a square here, a T-square to his Merlin and to his Reiki conjunction in Scorpio, third house. And magic in his childhood was frowned upon. So we had to kind of keep things hidden what we were doing. There, of course, he has many things also at 15, 16 degrees. His Magion here is 8th house self connects to that as well. But so, all of us have something at all these degrees. I just pulled up certain ones that were applicable. Now, if we go back to where Mars was transiting and it's connecting here to Chiron and mental, and then Tool. Did I look Tool up? This is the second time recording this video, so bear with me. I did. Tool is the Masters, Ancients, Magic, Mystical Rituals, but I also saw that it wasn't Podaliris that was the snobbery. It was Tool, that's also known as snobbery. So anyway, we'll go back to this. And so Tool was connecting to Mars Mars was in Cancer. It, of course, had been retrograde through here for a long time, much longer than it normally should have been. And fire and water just do not mix. So now that Mars has come into Leo, all of us are starting to come into ourselves a little more, I think, and can be more proud of who we are. So, let's see. I'm sure there's things I forgot. I put in all these cool little things, like I was pointing out as Venus. Transit Venus was opposite as Pluto, the transformation, connecting to all of those grays, and to his last name in transit here through his first house. Like I said, this is the second time I'm recording the video, so I have to remember what I said in the first one, and did I say it here in this one on top of everything else. Transit Spirit at 2630 was connecting to his hekate, which is the guardian of the crossroads, related to the magic witchcraft, the being able to see beyond all things. And connecting to his chaos, which is in the 9th house, and very close to his aureola, which is also related to the psychic ability. You want to call it psychic, you want to call it magic, medium, healer, just an alternative healer is fine. Let's see, and then connecting, of course, to his tool and his serendip, which is synchronicities, and very close to his spirit, and that all connects to the eclipses that we had, especially this lunar eclipse partial, September 18th. So, lots of big shifts in the last year. There's still more ahead. From what I understand, it'll be October before we get through this current spot. So we still have 2 more eclipses ahead. And it just kind of shows how things play out for us and how it's part of the path, which is my goal here. I'm sure I've skipped over something, and it is what it is. I do the best I can. So, thank you for watching, and I hope this helped my friend. And we'll see what comes next.